Isaiah chapter 7 verses 10 through 14. The virgin shall conceive, and bear a son, and they shall name him Emmanuel. The Lord spoke to Ahaz, saying, Ask for a sign from the Lord, your God, let it be deep as the nether world, or high as the sky. But Ahaz answered, I will not ask. I will not tempt the Lord. Then Isaiah said, Listen, O house of David. Is it not enough for you to weary people, must you also weary my God? Therefore the Lord himself will give you this sign, the virgin shall conceive, and bear a son, and shall name him Emmanuel. Ahaz was the son of Jotham. Jotham became king at the age of 25 and ruled Judah from 750 BC until Ahaz took over in 735 BC. 2 Kings chapter 15 verse 34, And Jotham did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, according to all that his father Uzziah had done. The same could not be said for Ahaz. Jotham had decided to allow the 20-year-old, Ahaz, to reign with him for 4 years from 735 to 731 BC, at that point the kingdom of Judah was handed over to him. Ahaz ruled on his own for the next 16 years. Ahaz was a liberal ruler who allowed idol worship and sacrileges, the deliberate violation of sacred things, against the temple. He also formed an alliance with the king of Assyria, by sending him temple gold, and he, himself even copied a pagan altar in Damascus for his own idol worship in Jerusalem. He then had other altars made for street corners in Jerusalem so others could join him in worshipping false gods. His son Hezekiah reigned after him, and, fortunately, did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. He reversed what his father had done to the temple, purifying it and again consecrating it for worship of the Lord. This reading takes place when Jerusalem is under siege for the first time. The city was surrounded by Syria and Ephraim who patiently wait for Jerusalem to surrender after having been cut off from food and water. Ahaz, the king of Judah, is faced with a dilemma. Isaiah tells Ahaz that the kings of Syria and Ephraim, despite their show of force, are weak. Isaiah goes on to tell Ahaz that he can either exercise a childlike faith in God or he can make a political alliance with the Assyrians. God then takes the initiative and asks Ahaz to ask for a sign of God's miraculous powers. Ahaz recalls Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 16, You shall not put the Lord your God to the test, and uses that as an excuse not to ask for God's help. Ahaz ignores the fact that God had asked him to ask for a demonstration of God's power and thus Ahaz commits the sin of unbelief. Ahaz then enters into an alliance with Assyria by sending temple gold to the Assyrian king, and he also further gave away the faith of his father David by swearing allegiance to Assyria's idols. He made a molten image of the Assyrian god and even burned his sons as an offering to that god. Behold, a young woman, the Virgin Mary, shall conceive and bear a son, Jesus, and shall call his name Emmanuel, God with us. Jesus is the Messiah, the seed of the woman, the seed of Abraham, a prophet like Moses, and a priest after the order of Melchizedek. Remember, you can't get God's help unless you ask. Many arrogant people achieved powerful positions by ignoring people around them. But in the end they failed. In time they would give anything in the world not to have chosen such a path. Aralado Banovac.